What happens when a Viking lands in a hatchery? Does Serral have a positive win rate against Korean Zergs? And who is the oldest Olympian to ever win a medal? All of these questions will be answered in today's episode of StarCraft Today.
StarCraft Today.
Your favorite StarCraft news show. A couple of days ago, a Reddit user named Izet discovered a new bug in which the Viking can get stuck in the hatchery if it lands at the perfect timing. Lynx can't attack it anymore, but queens still can. Now, of course, this isn't going to have a big impact on competitive play, as I doubt Terrans are going to anxiously be waiting with their Viking, getting ready to land it at the perfect time to get inside of the hatchery, especially because the Zerg can just cancel the hatchery. It's probably not really worth it. Majority of the time there's enough creep at the fort base as well. You can't even hover over there with a Viking. Nonetheless, it's a cool little bug, and after 11 years of StarCraft, I'm happy to see that we're still discovering things about the game. This week, the NetEase Esports X tournament wrapped up, and we have a winner that we're all very familiar with. Serral taking another trophy home as he took out Lambo 4-3 in the finals in an exciting CVZ final. I don't say this all the time. 4-3 ending. Lambo definitely had chances to take it, but Serral just a little bit too strong for him. Same time in the third place match, we saw Zest take out Dark 3-2. That shows that if the conditions are just right for Zest, Zest definitely is a top player, but his inconsistency across these tournaments, especially online, is a little bit worrying. But third place in next, not a bad result. And Serral, another trophy. Zergs everywhere you go in the TSL 8. In the winner bracket final, out of the 4 players left, only one non-Zerg. That was Trap. Had to go up against Serral, and well, he didn't quite make it. Did end up taking a map, but Serral beat him 3-1 in rather convincing games, in my opinion. Then in the second semi-final, we saw Solar take on Rogue, and Rogue just being a little bit too strong in that CVZ. The winner bracket final consisting then of Serral and Rogue. And Serral, perhaps not the greatest in CVZ at the moment, especially when it comes to that very high level. And Rogue proved indeed that he is just a little bit better at this moment, taking out Serral with a 4-2 victory. And Serral actually not really looking like he had much of a chance in that series. Serral got knocked down, where he had to play against Trap again. Trap managed to take out Ragnarok in the meanwhile, 3-0. Easy win against Zerg, you would say. Trap probably feeling a little bit more confident, only to get absolutely blasted by Serral. I'm properly blasted. Like these were games where it didn't look pretty for Trap. You know, if this entire series was on rank roulette, I'm not quite sure what Trap would be guessed at, but it looked rough. 4-0 loss. Yikes. Into the finals then we go, Rogue against Serral, and once again Rogue just being absolutely dominant. 4-1 victory over Serral, showing him up with cheese after aggressive build order after, well, yeah, sure, another cheese. Serral not quite having an answer for those, and Rogue winning another trophy in the TSL 8. And it does leave the question here, as we're kind of moving towards Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. How is Serral doing against the Korean Zergs? And I thought personally that he was doing okay, and every now and then he lost. But I just took a look at the stats, and in the year 2021, he actually lost a lot more than he won against the Korean Zergs. I think the stats are 4-7 against the top Korean Zergs, and that also includes a game against DRG, who I don't even really consider one of the big two, which is, well, Dark and Rogue. Would be weird if DRG would be there, because then would be the big three. But yeah, it feels like Serral's CVZ is definitely lagging behind his other two matchups a little bit. It can be seen on Aligalak as well, where I think his first two matchups, Terran and Protoss, are 3.4k, while Zerg is at a mere 3.1 or 3.150. So definitely a little bit behind is something he needs to work on, especially in those early game phases. As the Koreans tend to be extremely aggressive, and they've been finding weaknesses. Maru versus Dark on 2K Atmospheres is this week's game of the week. Game which started with a 2-on-1 against a Roach opener, which Dark didn't even have that great of an eco, ends up being a complete slugfest. Ghost entered the field very quickly at like the 10-12 minute mark already. From there on out, Dark decides, you know what, it's time to start using Nidases, and start using lots and lots and lots of Nidases, and that's what he did. Eventually gets 1, 2, no, 3 up in the main base. pops a couple of lurkers out, and from there on out, Maru is in trouble. Dark ends up taking the game after 25 minutes of insane battles. Good micro, very cool decision making, a well-deserved game of the week. This week's Zoom In is going to be on Ragnarok, the 25-year-old Korean player that many people know of, but most people don't know a lot about, and that might change in the near future. So he put on an amazing performance in the TSL 8, taking out Reynor in the winner bracket as his big victory. Then in the lower bracket, also taking a couple of big names in Bian, Hero, Solar. Did end up losing to Trap 03, but gets a top 4 performance, which is his best ever performance in a Premier tournament, which TSL 8 of course was. And with IEM Katowice around the corner, Last Chance still on the way, this is a pretty darn good time to peak if you ask me. It wouldn't surprise me if we see another big performance out of this relatively young Korean Zerg. As always, we had 3 ESL Open Cups this week, starting on the Sunday with Korea. We have a non-Korean winner, actually. In the finals, Time was a little bit too strong for DRG, taking him out 3-2. Before that, Time already took out Gumiho in the semifinals as well. So a very impressive run. Time takes his first ever Korean Cup win. Moving over to Europe, we saw a Clem Reynor final, in which Reynor once again was a little bit too strong. Clem been struggling a fair amount with Zerg lately, losing a lot to Dark, and now once again losing to Reynor. Needs to find his old shape against Zerg back if he wants to be able to pick up some of these ESL Open Cups when they aren't against Hero Marine in the final. And in America, we had Special making it to a final, taking out Showtime in the semis. But in the finals, Zest was just a little bit too strong for him. Zest took him out 3-2, and Zest adds another cup win, another notch on his belt. I mean, I don't think his belt is long enough anymore at this point. He's like 34, 35 wins. Absolutely ridiculous. So congratulations to the winners, and we'll see who gets it next week. This week's clip of the week is a clip of Hero Marine trying to micro against Zerg, and a cleaning bot getting in the way a little bit. Pay close attention or you might miss it.
Oh, I clicked like on a thing. I clicked on a cleaning board. Oh my god.
Insufficient Westfield gas.
Oh, I clicked like on a thing. I clicked on a cleaning board.
If you ask Google who the oldest Olympian is to ever win a medal, Google will tell you Oskar Swan, who was a Swedish shooter and won a medal in the 1920 Olympics when he was 72 years and 280 days old. Won a silver medal. This, however, is incorrect, as back in the day, the Olympics also had an arts category. This stopped after 1954 because the people that did the arts were considered professionals, while everyone in the Olympics was considered amateurs, but that's a different story. John Copley from the US of A managed to take a medal in the etchings and engravings category when he was 73 years old, and thus is actually older than Oskar Swan. This is a little fact that the Swedes don't want you to know, Americans, but the Americans really have the oldest Olympian with a medal ever. And on that note, we're going to end this episode of StarCraft today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we'll see you all next time for a new episode of whatever it is. Thank you, and bye-bye.